Now, these three were the main orders, but understand, with increase in the role of the church, okay, the place where the church will be, cathedral towns will be developed around that. And all these towns, small artisans will come and they will start certain activities. Suppose a flower shop will be there, a bakery will be there, right? A hairdresser will be there. So what happens when these people, they come and they start settling there, then there starts the formation of towns or the townspeople. These people, they did not belong to any noble, knights, clergy, monk, peasant class. Okay, they were separate. They lived in the towns and they worked as merchants, traders, moneylender, craftsmen, and the artisans. They did not belong to any of the order, and they were in fact known as the fourth order. Okay. Now you see, initially, England was known as Angel Land. Okay, what is more important here, that wars and disputes happened between the kings over there, and finally it was King of Normandy. This is not important for the exam, right? It was Duke of Normandy. Finally, he defeated the Saxon king, and from there we saw the emergence of feudalism in England, and township also started developing in that area. So this I was discussing, the cathedral towns. They are a large church in medieval India. Okay, many towns grew around these because they were center of pilgrimage, trade, and learning. So the students were attracted over there for theological questions, for philosophy, and for law. Is it clear? Also, we see that they become the important center of religious and educational town. When, or you must have studied in ancient India, that it was during the time of Chola Empire that there was development of township around the temple, Dravidian temple structure, if you recollect it, right? And why this was happening? These temples become the center of social, cultural, economical exchange. Similarly, these cathedral towns, they had become the center of socio-economic, cultural exchange in Europe. Okay. What were the features of the town life? There were markets, there were fairs, and there were guilds, which were the associations of various craftsmen. Okay, and some of the towns, they even gained the charters from the kings, and totally they developed themselves as self-independent town. Self-independent unit, you will, when you will be studying Chola Empire, you will see in Urumayur inscription, right, in Chola's administration. Similarly, the merchants, they were very rich, and in fact they became wealthier than most of the feudal lords. Okay, finally, these towns had become the center of learning, university, and Renaissance culture, and all this led to Enlightenment age. Now understand that after this, there was certain crisis which happened in 14th century, which due to which people questioned the authority, right? One was Great Famine. It resulted in shortage of food and starvation. Millions of peasants had died. The second one was the Black Death. Okay, it killed Europe's population. Now understand that whole European medieval economy was surviving because of the peasants and the serf. Now, if there is disruption in demand and supply, suppose the number of serfs who are working has become less and the demand for the serf has increased. So this disproportionateness, how it is going to be fulfilled. It created a bargaining power for these peasants. Okay. So also, apart from this, I have already discussed in social organization that the peasantry was heavily burdened with the taxes. This led to the peasants' revolt, labor exploitation, and feudal oppression. So, what happens after this? Lot of political changes happen again. The kings who had initially the power, right? We were seeing Roman Empire, just focus here. It went down from urbanization to feudalism to ruralization. Now it will be going up here. The kings will again try to take back the power from the feudal lords, and they will again try to establish a centralized system of administration. Okay, and we will see over here monarchical form of government. Initially, monarchical form of government. So decline of feudalism, peasant revolt, it allowed the king to consolidate the power. There will be stronger nation states which has emerged during this time. Okay. Apart from this, the kings, they reduce the power of the nobles, they raise their own army, and they control the administration. You understand how it is now further going. We are moving to a centralized system again, right? The decentralization of the feudal lords has been declining by this time. Now what happens now, since the king, they are moving towards centralization, the supremacy or the sovereignty of the king over here again becomes stronger, right? Initially in the dark age, we were seeing that the state, the king and the church were overlapping. There was all the moral decisions were guided by the church law. But now what is happening? State is regaining authority. There we see coming up of a monarchical form of government, and from here we see the beginning of modern centralized states in Europe, right? This, along with the Renaissance spirit, further leads to questioning of the order which had been existing at that point of time, leading to the concept of nation state, various revolts, and finally transitioning into a democratic form of government across the Europe. Is it clear? Okay. Very quickly, I would like to sum it up over here, whatever we studied. Okay. So first we saw that there was a fall of Roman Empire because there was decline in international trade and commerce. If your trade and commerce is declining, how are you going to pay the salary? Right? Because your coinage system is also automatically going to decline, and this is going to lead towards a ruralized, decentralized economy. Okay? And apart from this, there is dark ages or dominance of divine command theory or the role of church. Everything is guided by them, overlapping of the state and the church. Both are together. Now what happens when all this is declined? There is no cash salary to be given. Now the king or whatever ruler is there, he starts to pay the feudal chiefs in entity which is land, and this ownership of land leads to the concept of feudalism across the medieval Europe. And the society based on feudalism is divided again into four orders, four rigid order. The first is the clergy and the monks, who are the people who are levying the taxes. The second is the nobles, right? These are the people who are basically the feudal lords, okay? And the third one, the most burdened peasants and the serfs. Of these, around the church, okay, cathedral towns develop, and in those towns we see coming up of townspeople who are basically your artisans, okay. And it is in this town that around this town a lot of universities and learning centers are developing. From here, from these cathedral towns and consolidation of the William King in England, along with the crisis of the 14th century, the famine, the Black Death, and the peasants' revolt, when people start revolting against the burdening of the taxes, we see political changes. And these political changes are again the monarchical form of government, a centralized government coming to power. So all this leads to further leading towards the Renaissance age. And this Renaissance is known as the rebirth. Why? Because the people who had been over here, they had been questioning, right? Why church is interfering into the state? Why there is lot of dogmatism? Because when you will start reading, Socrates has already said, right? Unexamined life is not worth living. Know thyself. In this age, people start studying scriptures, Roman scriptures, Latin scriptures, and then they rediscover their past, right? So all this further leads to Renaissance. We will see in Renaissance the emphasis is given to humanism, okay? Emphasis is given to secularism, and emphasis is given to rational thinking. From here on, we will resume our classes regarding the revolts. Okay, thank you.